You're watching BBC London with me, Assad Ahmed, on your local news tonight. We find a report which says an oak tree cut down in North London was a fine specimen that would have lived for years.
It's on a par with our historic castles, our stately homes, our ancient cathedrals, but it's not protected like they are. This is what's happened.
Well, Enfield Council says it'll now take legal action. Also tonight, it's primary school offer day, but with some schools closing due to dropping numbers, is everyone happy?
So if the school closes, my friends will go to different schools and we might not see each other again.
However, it's Declan Rice who hits it.
After thrashing Real Madrid 3-0 last week, Arsenal face them again in an hour and a half in Spain.
Find out what furry creature has been captured on camera at Canary Wharf.
Good evening. The cutting down of a single tree in North London has continued to spark anger, with many people, local and further afield, outraged that an oak tree that was hundreds of years old was chopped down by a restaurant chain. The owners of Toby Carvery have come under fierce criticism after 3 separate statements yesterday, effectively saying the oak in Enfield came down for health and safety reasons. But documents seen by this programme show in 2023 the tree was inspected and said to be in good health, something the council and experts have echoed. With more, here's Layla Hayes.
Why was this ancient oak tree chopped down? That's the question now being asked, not just here in Enfield, but across the country.
It's just awful. It's just awful. I mean, obviously it takes us back to what happened with the sycamore. It's just vandalism, absolute vandalism. And I just hope that we get to the bottom of it.
The tree is next to Toby Carvery in Whitewebs Park, and the council-owned land is leased to the restaurant's owner, Mitchells and Butlers. Today, the leader of the council said they now plan to take legal action against them.
I am outraged. Unfortunately, the leaseholder did not consult us as the landowner, and they should have. Our experts, our tree officers, surveyed this tree in December 2024, and they said it's healthy, it's alive, it could live another a few hundred years. And so I completely opposed the argument from the leaseholder that this posed a health and safety risk.
Local residents have been fighting to stop Enfield Council selling off part of the park to Spurs Football Club to expand their training ground. But the council said the land where the tree is located is not part of the proposed development. This is how Google Street View captured the oak in its former glory. But on the 3rd of April, a member of the public spotted contractors chopping it down. Toby Carvery's owners initially said they cut down the tree because their experts told them it was dead and posed a serious health and safety risk. But all the experts we've spoken to dispute that and say these green shoots show it's very much alive.
I can't see any reason from a health and safety perspective whatsoever. No major structural faults, the tree being in really good health, really good physiological condition. Earlier this morning I examined the buds and you can tell a lot about the tree's health from looking at its buds, and they look to be in great, really healthy condition to me, and the twigs had a really, really good structure. So clearly the tree wasn't dead.
We asked Toby Carvery's owners for information about the contractor that cut down the tree, but that hasn't been supplied. They continue to insist that it was a potential health and safety risk and that all legal requirements were met. But there are still many unanswered questions. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
Well, let's stay with this subject now because I'm joined by John Stokes, who's Director of Tree Science and Research at the Tree Council. And Mr. Stokes, what was your reaction when you heard the oak tree was felled?
Well, it was a very shocking experience to see the pictures because you could see a remarkably old tree that's had its head taken off, really. It was a horrible sight to behold.
But the tree was described in a survey report from 2023 as a fine specimen, but it did recommend work to reduce the crown of the tree, like you just mentioned there. What's your professional opinion? Would it need to be chopped down, do you think?
Nothing that I've heard from my colleagues across the industry over the last few days, people who've actually seen it, has suggested that it was in anything other than good health. And so the work that's been done to it is far in excess of anything that was necessary, and it should have been done sensitively. It should have been done carefully, because this is a 450, 500-year-old tree, possibly even older than that. And, you know, in Enfield, I don't know how many things there are of that age, but it's got to be one of the oldest things in the area, and therefore it should have been treated with care. It should have been treated as part of the national heritage, as something that should have been protected, and what has been done is not that.
But Mitchells and Butlers, the owners of Toby Carvery, say they acted with health and safety in their mind. When that happens, isn't it OK to take the action that they did?
Well, so health and safety is always a very easy way of explaining why you've done that sort of thing to a tree. But for example, over in Cambridgeshire and Ely, they've got a really ancient old London plane, again, part of the nation's heritage. They've got a lottery grant so that they can do the right thing by the tree, to look after it, to protect it, to do it properly. And if these trees had been given sort of protection nationally, so that we know that the important trees of the nation and we protect them, then this wouldn't have happened, because you'd have had better instructions before you started.
Now, would you say that there are gaps in the law? I know the Tree Council said a short time ago in a report that there are gaps in the law when it comes to protecting trees. Like what?
I mean, we were commissioned by DEFRA to prepare a report following, as one of your interviewees earlier said, following the Sycamore Gap incident. And it is truly ironic that the day we publish the report is the day that I get to hear about this particular tree. And there are lots of things that could be done to better protect them. I mean, we need to think about nationally about a sort of listing system, so that trees, like listed buildings, you have the best of the best have legal protection. You know, anything that's 400 or 500 years old ought to have national protection. And if we could have a new system that looked at the way in which we protected these trees, and then if you were the owner or the manager of the tree, you could potentially get some grant and support, like you do with a listed building, to do the right thing by it. Yeah. Again, none of this would have happened.
No, that's understood. John Stokes, thank you for your time this evening from the Tree Council. Many thanks. Well, we did, as you'd expect, invite Mitchells and Butlers, who take responsibility for chopping down the tree, onto the programme this evening. It was their right to decline, and they did. However, a message to M&B, who will be watching this evening: the invitation to come on the programme still stands. Please think about it. Just let us know you have our details. Now, the felling of an ancient oak tree in North London is our top story, but still to come on the programme. Could the oldest Indian restaurant in the country be closing down after 100 years? Now, residents at a block of flats in Brixton have struggled for 18 months without a lift. Tenants at the Loughborough Park estate say it's even harder for the elderly, disabled people and children. Well, the housing association responsible has apologised and has promised new lifts. Lakshmi Gopal has been to see the problem it's causing.
Residents at blocks of flats on Loughborough Park estate in Brixton have had to do a lot more of this, because they haven't been able to use this. The lift at one block has been broken for the past year and a half. Michelle lives on the top floor.
I just come from shopping and I've got this trolley here. I've got a lower back problem. I'm having to walk 5 flights of stairs to get it up the stairs. I haven't got anyone to help me. So it's a big problem.
The estate is owned and managed by one of England's oldest and largest housing associations, the Guinness Partnership.
Guinness should have already spoken to their tenants about compensation, because there was a time when we were still paying for the lift service charge and the lift wasn't working. That's ridiculous.
Don't worry, we didn't just leave Michelle. Cameraman Andy helped her carry her shopping up the stairs, while I braced myself to walk up to George's flat.
We have some neighbours with mobility issues, so it's really quite hard for them to get up and down. And then there are also some, mothers with young kids and buggies, And I've helped them a few times up and down the stairs.
George lives on the 4th floor of Clemo's house. He says residents have only had a couple of texts and letters updating them about the lift in the past 18 months.
The main problem really was the lack of information in the early days.
Elsewhere on the estate, at Littlewood House, Daniel has had 4 weeks of the lift being out of action, and it's not the first time. The lift has had 4 faults in the past year. He's worried about an elderly lady living on one of the top floors.
I normally see her taking out her rubbish every day or every other day, which I haven't seen her in a while. So I was just a bit worried as to say, because the lift being out, maybe has that restricted her from leaving the premises?
The Guinness Partnership says attempts have been made to repair the lift at Clemo's house. However, we concluded a new lift is required. Work to install it will begin in the next couple of weeks. It says the lift at Littlewood House was fixed last weekend once replacement parts had been delivered. A specialist lift inspection has been carried out to understand how to minimise future problems. It adds, if any lift is out of service, we contact residents to check whether any additional support is required. None of the residents here advised of any support needs. We'll be making an appropriate compensation payment to residents at Clemo's house. After months and months of struggling, for the residents, it seems a functioning lift is finally just a few steps away. Laxmi Gopal, BBC London.
Now a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. Police have named a 21-year-old man who died on Monday night after being stabbed in South London. Giovanni Rendon Bedoya was attacked on Hillingdon Street in Walworth. Police say a number of people were seen carrying knives. 6 people have been arrested, but police are appealing for more information. A large scaffolding structure collapsed on the top of a van in North London this morning. The driver was pulled from the vehicle by passers-by. No injuries were reported. The scaffolding was around the library on Stoke Newington Church Street. The road has been closed whilst investigation takes place. And there are more stories on your local BBC website and the BBC News app whenever you want it. Today has been Primary School Offer Day, when parents find out where their children will be going to school in September. But there are some schools in London which risk closure because there aren't enough pupils to fill classrooms. Nikki Ford explains why it's happening.
Save our schools! Save our schools! 2 schools miles apart, one in East London and one in West, both fighting to stay open amidst moves to close them. St Dominic's in Hackney is one of 4 primary schools that are earmarked for closure.
So we've been told the school's closing because of falling rolls, which is affecting most of London. And also we have some financial debt as well. And our families who would come to our types of schools, they can't afford to live in the area. So when they move out, obviously they take their entire families with them, and that means less funding for schools like mine.
Hackney Council say they're making their final decision next week. They say the significant fall in pupil numbers has caused some of the borough's schools to worsen to the point it's no longer possible for the council to maintain them. It's a similar story at St Cuthbert's with St Matthias Primary School in Earls Court, with just 11 signed up to start reception. They too have been told the school could close.
If we go to different schools, then we won't see each other, and then we won't play with each other every day.
It would be really sad because this school has been with me for so much years and it's stuck in my heart, so if I really move, it won't be the same.
For Mum Michaela, the school is her community.
My son has a lot of friends there. He can also see them outside school because we all local. So yes, it's like taking our community away from us.
The Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea told us they will ensure children have alternative places secured as swiftly and smoothly as possible should the closure go ahead. So what's led to this fall in numbers? Well, a decreasing birth rate, the cost of living, and also the fact that property prices in London keep getting more and more expensive are all contributing factors. A trend expected to continue. Local authority pupil forecasts indicate a 12% drop in the number of pupils enrolling in inner city schools by 2029. In outer London, that's a 6% drop, which in total amounts to 52,627 fewer pupils.
So if you're a primary school in London, you typically attract between £7,000 or £8,000 in government funding per pupil. So if you're losing pupils, you tend to be losing funding as well. The issues that schools face is that the costs that they have don't fall in quite the same way. So it costs just as much to put a teacher in front of a class of 25 pupils as it does in front of a class of 30.
The Department for Education told us, despite the challenging economic context, we are putting a further £3.2 billion into schools' budgets, with £1 billion for children and young people with high needs. With Southwark, Westminster and Lambeth also consulting on school mergers or closures, the sound of protest could get a little louder. Nikki Ford, BBC London.
On to football, and the much-awaited second leg match between Arsenal and Real Madrid takes place in just over an hour's time. Real Madrid will come out fighting, trying to overturn Arsenal's 3-0 memorable win last week. Well, Chris Legg has been seeing if Arsenal will be able to secure their place in the Champions League semi-final.
The Gunners could never have imagined they'd arrive in Madrid with a 3-0 lead. Now, can they complete the job tonight?
A lot of clubs have built their history by doing it many times, trying many times, sometimes failing, sometimes being successful. And last year we had an experience, and with that one we want to be better this season and apply that to be in the semi-finals, which will be only our third time in the history of our football club.
15-time winners and Champions League holders Real Madrid believe they still have a chance. Self-confidence embodied by England midfielder Jude Bellingham.
For some reason, everyone thinks it's now done, that we'll come back, and it's a nice feeling, I have to say. It means there's a lot of trust in the talent. It means that you're at a club that's unlike no other, the best in the world. That's what it represents and signifies to me.
It's less than 30 yards out from goal. However, it's Declan Rice who hits it. Oh, and doesn't he hit it? Oh, yes, he hits it. It's a terrific strike.
Declan Rice's two superb free kicks have helped put Arsenal in a commanding position. So how should they set up against a team that never knows when it's beaten?
Arsenal have to approach it like they don't have the lead almost. You know, if you turn up at somewhere like the Bernabeu and you actually sit back, soak up pressure, be defensive, I think you're playing into the hands of Real Madrid. So for me, I think they've just got to be a little bit normal about how they go about this game, forgetting that 3-goal lead is there.
Among the Arsenal fans who've made the trip to Spain, a mood of nervous excitement.
I think if I didn't have such strong allegiances to Arsenal Football Club, I might be able to look at this a little bit differently. I might look at it and say 3-0 up. The chances of Real Madrid progressing are very slim. Therefore, Arsenal should make it through to the semi-finals comfortably. But I think it's my allegiance that weighs me down here. It's my allegiance that makes me feel nervous and stressed about the whole situation.
I think it is possible. Can they keep their cool with football's ultimate prize now so close? Chris Legg, BBC London.
Yeah, an exciting game ahead tonight. Now, in a year's time, an Indian restaurant on Regent Street is due to celebrate its 100th birthday. Veeraswamy is thought to be the oldest surviving Indian restaurant in the country, with clientele over the years, including Charlie Chaplin, Mahatma Gandhi and Elizabeth Taylor. But now the King's property managers, Crown Estate, want the building back. Here's Matt Graveling.
For almost 100 years, this site in central London has served up a taste of India.
Veeraswamy was created in this building on the same day as the late Majesty the Queen was born, 21st of April 1926. It was more than just a restaurant, it was an institution.
With a guest list that includes Charlie Chaplin and Mahatma Gandhi, today this Michelin-star restaurant serves cuisine from 9 regions of India, cooked by the chefs that grew up there. But now, just months away from its 100th anniversary, it's at risk of closure.
These places require passion, dedication, determination. It's blood, sweat and tears. I think it's very important that London continues to have this, and we will be distraught to see it not here.
The restaurant is located here in Victory House, which is owned by the Crown Estate, who now say the building needs a comprehensive refurbishment. In 2023, the owners here were actually offered the chance to expand the restaurant, but the very next year they were told their lease would now not be extended because the Crown Estate needed some of the space back. In a statement, they added,
"We need to carry out a refurbishment, which includes a major upgrade to the offices and improving the entrance to make it more accessible. Due to the limited options available in this listed building, we need to remove the entrance to the restaurant, which means we will not be able to offer Veeraswamy an extension when their lease expires."
And this is the entrance in question. The proposal is to close it up in order to create a large new reception area. Now, Ranjit has asked if he can therefore take a small corner of this retail unit to make a new entrance, something he said he was prepared to pay for, but he was still told no. Do you think they just want you out?
I think they come to a view that they want to have a tidy building. They want to have all offices. Having a restaurant there is a needless burden, and it is hard to avoid that conclusion.
Ranjit has now taken legal action, with court hearings due next year. But if this is unsuccessful and no replacement site is found, Veeraswamy's may face serving its final meal just weeks after celebrating its centenary. Matt Graveling, BBC London.
An otter has been caught on camera in Canary Wharf in what experts have described as a rare sighting. It was caught on CCTV running across a dock. Well, Bryony Williams has been looking at the footage.
This incredible footage shows the rare moment a European otter was caught on CCTV at Canary Wharf.
I was just absolutely amazed. I saw it, I thought it was a cat. I watched it again and I just got straight on the phone to Hannah and was like, you will never believe what has just come onto the pontoon.
I just couldn't believe that we'd have an otter in Canary Wharf in the docks, and also that it was caught on camera.
Tom Hill and Hannah Green, who live on a boat, saw the images from their motion-activated camera. And as spotting these mammals in the docks is so unusual, we've brought along an otter expert to answer their questions.
Where do you think he might be living?
Yeah, so it'd be very hard to tell. So otters live in things called holts, and they're typically found under things like tree roots on the side of riverbanks. They are like top predators, really. They love eating fish. That's their favourite food. They can also eat things like amphibians and crustaceans. So they won't be going for things like, not herbivores, they're not going to eat plants, but they'll probably come out of the water and I'll be jumping back in and try and find some fish.
Most otters you might have seen in zoos and wildlife sanctuaries aren't European otters. They're the Asian short-clawed species.
You're looking almost half the size of a European otter. Their feet are adapted to kind of picking up crabs and clams and moving them around, whereas our European otters will catch fish on the fly, so they've got these massive webbed feet with really sharp claws to kind of grab their dinner. Seeing an actual otter is quite rare unless you're all the way up in Scotland, so still really exciting, but yeah, really good news that they're doing so much better now.
The camera footage was only checked because a plant pot was knocked over. But Tom and Hannah have a hunch it wasn't the first time the otter had paid a visit.
And you've actually given it a pet name? Tell me about that.
Yeah, we called it Nessie because we were thinking, like the Loch Ness Monster is very elusive and mystical. And of course this otter, we've caught him on camera once, but we've got a feeling that he's probably been on our pontoon before, and we see signs in the water that sort of indicates that there's something below the surface. We've never known what, and now here he is.
Bryony Williams, BBC London.
OK, let's go over to Darren now for the weather forecast. And I see the blossom behind you. It has been a lovely year for blossoms this year.
It has. I'm disappointed you didn't ask me if it was going to be getting hotter. You didn't stoop to my level, Assad. Well done, though. Well done. We were the hottest place in the country today. Temperatures reached 16 degrees. Beautiful, colourful scene here. Not great, though, if you're a hay fever sufferer. High tree pollen levels, of course, at this time of the year. Heading into tomorrow, it's been a bit windy today, but the winds are going to be lighter tomorrow. There could be 1 or 2 showers around here and there, but a lovely end to the day. It will turn chilly very quickly, mind you, because we're going to keep clear skies. There's a bit more cloud threatening some showers. Those look like being to the west of us. So out of town, temperatures could get as low as 2 degrees. So a chilly start to tomorrow. Probably quite a sunny start, mind you, first thing in the morning. But as temperatures rise, it's what happens at this time of the year. We see the cloud bubbling up and a few April showers are possible. And these are more likely to the north of London. Southern areas tending to see the cloud breaking later on in the day. And we'll see temperatures 16, maybe 17 degrees. It'll feel maybe a little bit warmer because the winds will be that bit lighter. Now, we've had low pressure bringing rain over the past few days. We've missed a lot of it. There is another one coming in. This one's going to be arriving into the southwest of the UK. So we're just going to be missing the cloud, the wind and the rain from that. But there still could be 1 or 2 showers. The risk of those will be less, I think, as we head into Good Friday. There'll be some spells of sunshine and we've got temperatures 17 or 18 degrees. That low pressure that's arriving in the southwest then pulls away. And for much of the Easter weekend, it will be dry with some sunshine. The cloud and the showers will build though as we head into Easter Monday. Assad.
Darren, thanks very much for that. Well, that's it for now. Do go to BBC London on Facebook or X for more images and snippets of the day's stories. We have over 4 million followers on both. I'm back at 10:30 with our late news on BBC One, also on the iPlayer. For now, hope you have a very good evening. Bye-bye.